Well, I'm Ashton Dawson, and this is my Knowledge of Students video. Okay, 2A, about learning and prerequisite skills. My central focus here at Lake High School, I think I want them to be able to write and express their knowledge on writing and on paper. And I specifically want them to be talking about uh, the Great Depression and what some causes of it might have been, because we just got done with the 20s and we're about to head into the stock market crash and things like that. And I think it'd be interesting to get them to write about that. As far as writing, I talked with my CMT about this, and my CMT, when they have writing prompts on the test, which they just had on Wednesday, um, he wants them to fill out the writing prompts beforehand, before the actual test, because if they were to, in his words, if they were to actually try to on the spot write up information about what they knew with a prompt, they would struggle, and the answers would not be what the teacher's looking for, and so clearly, like every student in that class, struggles with writing on the spot, um, and is not very good at being able to come up with an essay or a summary right away when they're asked to. So they need time to prepare for it. So that's definitely an area that my students could grow in. And as for what I found on my research, on the school report card, state report card, excuse me, they students their their academic growth, and their achievement in that way has been limited. It was like 2 stars, I think, on academic growth, and so yeah, that's not, obviously they have room to grow there. Their graduation rate, however, is like 98%. It's very high, so that's definitely. It definitely goes to show that the teachers put in some supports to be able to get these students to do what they need to do to to yeah to be able to graduate and get the credit and get it done. So clearly, like supports like what my CMT is using are working. Um, I do know that they are able to share answers in class. When prompted, they can memorize things, and they can give me answers. When I have a review with them for the quiz, like who's Marcus Garvey. They can give me answers and to who it is, and they can answer me if I prompt them enough, and they can they know what they're talking about. But they definitely need some prompting. They definitely need some motivation, some attention when it comes to that. And they know the content. It seems like they know get the content pretty well. At least most of them that I've talked to in that third period class that I'm trying to focus on. Um, and yeah, they know the content, and if you go over it, they'll remember it. But they just need some when it comes to writing and actually expressing their knowledge on paper with their own thoughts. It's kind of difficult in that way to get them to do that. But yeah, we're gonna try to make some progress on that front. Personal, cultural, community assets. So this is Lake High School. If I can get to switch. Yeah, this is Lake High School. I looked on the typology data. It's a four. It's a town. It's like a small town. It's what it's described as being. This high school reminds me a lot of Olentangy Berlin High School, my old high school. Um, and that was a more wealthy district. However, this is a new high school. It was just built recently because well, rebuilt, I should say. The tornadoes in, I think, 2010 it was, kind of ruined a lot of the school, and so it is a newer school, so that might explain why it's kind of nicer. But um, I expected them looking at the school to have like a higher average income, median income in the county, or yeah, in this school district, and I found out the average median income was something around 40,000, which isn't crazy. So it's hard to tell. It seems like some students are doing well financially, just based on like the kind of clothes they wear and stuff like that. But maybe that's a bit too judgmental. But um, yeah, I mean, definitely possible that there's some struggling families, some people, students who come from lower income backgrounds. 40,000 is not the greatest average. It's not the highest average, so definitely could be struggling in that way, a little bit. As for what goes on in their school, it seems like they value, based on their website that I looked at, it seems like they value their music, like their band and stuff like that, and also their theater and that kind of area a lot in their school. And there are a lot of athletes that I've seen. It seems like a lot of them value sports like wrestling. I think that's I have a couple of student athletes in mind, and one of my periods, and they're wrestlers. So that's a bigger one for them. I think football as well, track and field. Uh, yeah, so that's kind of similar to what they experience. That's kind of what they experience in the school. As far as cultural and language backgrounds, culturally, I think we have a lot of just uh, ethnically white, culturally um, Midwestern students. That seems to be the majority. I have two African American students in the third period class that I'm focusing on. Culturally, could be different. As far as language backgrounds, um, yeah, most of them are English speakers. I haven't had any English language learners or anything like that, or anybody that I know of with a first language that is different from English. So a lot of them, yeah, all the students in my class are fluent in English and they do well speaking English. There are a couple students that I've seen who struggle with spelling. That's definitely one of the things. But one of the students, I believe, is on a 504 plan. Yeah, so a little bit of struggle with spelling and stuff like that. But from what I've seen, all of them are fluent in English and speak English very well. And they're all very similar in that regard. Practices and interests, like I said, we have some athletes, some are not athletes. I talked to a few of them about their interests. We have some gamers in there, one Dungeons and Dragons gamer. Um, so that's some of the varying interests there. Yeah, we have yeah, like I said, athletes and non-athletes. I haven't learned too much about the individual interests of these students yet. However, another thing is that they are very close to the Toledo airport, which is I can't remember exactly how far away it is, but it's right around the corner. So, and I think that's where they get the influence for their mascot from, the Flyers. And so that might, have an impact on them. And certainly this could be used to in some of their lessons maybe to relate to them because they're very familiar with this. Um, okay, 2C. What do I know about my students' cognitive, physical, and social development related to central focus? Cognitively, like I said before, some of them struggle with being able to recall information and being able to formulate that information into thought on paper, and so that can be difficult for them. Cognitively, they all seem very cognitively capable. They all seem very socially and emotionally capable, based on how I've communicated with them over this past 3 days that I've been there. Um, some of them are harder to talk to than others. The third period of class that I'm focusing on sometimes can be quiet. They can be difficult to get to talk, and they can be difficult to get to respond at times. But they all seem very socially developed when you actually get to talk to them and actually go up to them one on one and say, ask them questions and things like that. They're able to speak with you. They're able to be social from the ones that I've talked to, but at least most of them. There's one student there who's a bit difficult to talk to at times. He's quiet. He's shy. He doesn't really like to talk. Um, so some of them definitely could use some work in their social development. Emotionally, I haven't really been able to tell very much. There's a couple kids, yeah, that might act out a little bit, cause a disruption in the classroom that I've seen. That can happen, but that's limited. Physical development, like I said, yeah, we have some athletes who are more physically developed than others, maybe, um, and maybe utilize their physical development a little bit more. I guess I should say. Um, yeah, they all seem to be in a little bit of a similar spot physically. Not too much diversity in that regard. Um, but yeah, that is about it.